You good? How you both doing first? Let's do the niceties. How you both getting on?
Mate,
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. It's
I'm
fucking
good.
football club, though. It's a joke.
Yeah, mate.
What football club? We're talking
Yeah.
about football. No, I want to know when the
mate,
next
no,
concert is, mate.
Sorry, entertainment company. Oh, sorry, entertainment
Yes.
company.
First of all, I just want to get this out, right? Because I know there's a lot of people Conte out, but I want the players gone before Conte, and I'm just going to explain quickly why.
I
Right?
agree.
He went defensive today, right? Which was totally the wrong tactics, right? He went defensive at 3-1. But are you sitting there and telling me that even when he goes defensive, that these players can't defend a 3-1 lead against the bottom side?
Yeah.
Come on. This is the bottom side and they still can't defend, no matter if they're good enough or not. This is a Premier League side, right? And these players still can't defend a 3-1 league. I'm looking at it going, these players are just not good enough at all, right? And I don't care that Conte got it wrong. I just care that the fact that it goes 3-1. It goes 3-1. And most managers probably would have done exactly the same thing and gone and tried to defend it.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yep.
Right? Let's be honest about the situation. Look at our away form in the last how many weeks, right? And yet it's Southampton, yeah? And they can't defend it. They're bottom. So you have to sit there and go, no, this is too much for these players now. I'm done. I'm completely done with these players first. Yeah, go on.
You made it. I just want to add to what you just said. You made a really good point. Is that being 3-1 up, most managers might have probably have done that. Where if they're struggling as well, they haven't got consistency. It's 77 minutes and you're 3-1 up or whatever it is, and you think, okay, let's try and. I thought as soon as that goal went in from Perisic, I thought that's game, set, and match. I thought that was done. But again, Spurs proved me wrong once again, and the Spurs in this came out.
Look, sometimes Conte does confuse me as well, right? I'm not big on Conte's tactics all the time. I think his substitutions can sometimes be a bit slow. But I'm looking at Southampton today. We haven't done well away from home. I think the last 4 games we just haven't won. Right? We're 3-1 up, right? And I think even Poch, if we have struggled away, I think he would have actually tried to defend what we had.
Yeah, of course he would have.
But how can you sit there and go, okay, yeah, he's done and defended. We're all sitting there going, he should have probably bought on this player, that player. But you sitting there and telling me that none of them could defend it. Are you seriously going to sit there and explain to me that these players can't defend a 3-1 lead against Southampton? Because if they can't, we have got some serious problems.
I agree.
And we know these. We've seen these problems week in, week out, and they're there. And I look at it like this, right? Everyone wants him gone. I can see most Spurs fans want him gone, right? But we got told to be patient, right? And we have to look at what the scum did down the road. How many times would Arteta, they were playing crap football as well. How many times did they want Arteta out? Once they finally gave him his players, look how they're expressing themselves. Look how they're celebrating every week. But yet a lot of our fans and a lot of us, right? And I'm included, we think too much like Levy. And we're not gonna, right? Once the manager starts going through the rough patch, right? Because Conte's only been in 14 months? We want him gone. We're exactly thinking the same way as Levy. We just want him gone. Why can't we sit there, right, and just go through this manager? Because look at Poch when he came. He had a terrible, not great 4 or 5 months, but then it started to turn, right? And then we had players to back him and go with him. But again, as soon as it's turned to shit under Poch, which is 5 years later, what's the first thing Levy does? Pulls the trigger. Right, and a lot of fans at the time were like, we're done with this, and we keep going through the same thing. A lot of us fans will not trust the manager once it starts going to shit, and that's the biggest problem I think we've got as Spurs fans. We don't have enough patience, and I think this is the first time in a long time we kind of need it. And a lot, I look at the way Inter played, Chelsea played. You look at previous Conte teams. They have played good football.
Yeah,
At some point, they have played good football. So, what's the difference between them teams and our team? And you sit there and go, well, he's still got the same players that Nuno had. He's still got the same players Jose's had. And he's still got the same players Poch had, who was sitting on Poch's bench. I bet you if Conte had a Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen,
100%.
Completely different.
100%.
Completely different. And this was where it went wrong for Poch, because they were starting to deteriorate and then we couldn't defend anymore. So it just ended up going to shit. Right? So you can blatantly see where the areas we need to fill. But if the board ain't gonna back it, like I throw this one out to you, right? I throw this out to both of you. If I said to you right now, especially before Christmas, where do you expect Spurs to finish this season? All right, and a lot of our fan base probably, and especially with knowing how Liverpool were doing and everyone else, you'd probably go third or fourth.
Yeah, I would have said
right,
fourth.
and fight for third or fourth. Yeah, we're still there, right? There's still a lot of games left to play, right? And we are still there, unfortunately, right? Or fortunately, depends how you want to look at it, right? And Liverpool ain't winning away from home at the moment, so they're going to drop points. Newcastle, they draw a lot of games, so there's going to be points there. Our home record seems to be going okay, but again, we've got to sort out the away. And Man United might get dragged back into it. So today, we might see the point. You know, I know we're 3-1 up, but it's a point that we didn't get when we got battered by Leicester, who were probably just, you know, they were playing just as bad when we played them. So, and this is how we've got to look at the situation right now. I know a lot of people are not happy about the football, but he's still, you know, we're still around about fourth. So it's what is everyone's expectations, and that's
I think for me, I think the thing for me, Marlon, is that if we're talking about patience and we're talking about a plan, we should have just stuck with Poch and gave him what he wanted. We've gone through 4 years or whatever, how many years now, of managers, players, expense that we could have spent half the amount of money and given Poch what he wanted. The other thing that it comes down to is, obviously, you know, the other thing it comes down to is that you've got managers in there, and, you know, it's like we think we're shopping in Waitrose or Harrods, but we're paying bloody Aldi and Lidl prices, right? And we're not getting what we want. If we want, you know, we all know the players that we wanted and then what we got, right? So it's just ridiculous. But for me, Kante, we've spoken about this before. These managers must walk through the door. They get the Men in Black flipping treatment because they must know that Levy is going to do exactly the same thing as what he's done. Now, I'm not saying that. I think everyone needs to take a blame for this, right? Everyone needs a slice of that pie. Everyone needs to take responsibility. We cannot sit there and say, the board are at fault, the manager's at fault, the players are at fault, the academy's at fault. There's no philosophy, so what's the plan? There's no plan. Everyone's at fault, right? And I think this is what we need to realise. We can't, and I think no one knows what they want. Some fans want Kante, some fans want Poch, some fans want Levy out, some fans want Levy in, some fans want...
Where has all this stemmed from?
I get it. So it stems from the top. Yeah. But what I reckon, I'm not like conspiracy theories, what have you, but I guarantee you that there is someone from the club planting X, Y, Z things into different people's minds, into different people's Spurs fans, so that the Spurs fans don't know what they want, and then they know that they're not going to be united. Because if we were united in what we wanted, because none of us know what we want, then we get Levy out, right? We'd get the club that we wanted.
No, get him out. It's more put pressure on them.
Yeah, but when everything happened with Sugar, what happened? Everyone was together. Sugar went. When everyone before, that person went. Yeah. And because the narrative, and I get it, the narrative will come down to the football. I think this football under Kante is shit. Whether that's his fault or the players' fault or Daniel Levy's fault, they're all to blame because the football is awful, right? Awful. No other team in the top 4, top 6 would go away to the bottom team in the league, 3-1 up, and lose and draw that game of football, regardless of VAR decisions or whatever. No one would go and do it. So I just don't know. That's the thing. It's what we all want. I don't know what I want. I just don't want what we got now, but I don't know what the solution is. You know? I want top 4, and like you say, Marlon, we are top 4. How are we top 4? I don't know.
What Marlon was saying about patience, right, is the problem is the fan base don't have patience and the board don't have patience because the boards historically, when shit starts to get bad, they sack the manager. So how are you ever going to have a long-term plan, right, if they're the reason why we don't have a plan in the first place, right? the one manager we had who somehow last 5.5 years, which is just insane at this club, right? With this ownership, was Poch. So you would think he was the man that they were going to back, right? And they didn't back him, right? And they've gone and spent £500 million, 4 different managers, and they're in the same boat as where we were before he.
Probably worse.
Yeah, and this is the thing. So we actually have to spend more money to get the level of quality of squad or first 11 that we had under Poch, right? Marlon said it himself. We don't have a Toby or a Jan, and we don't have a Kyle Walker. I mean, Porro, I think, is a top player. I think he's going to be a top player. We don't have a left wing back who's a quality. I know we've got Doji coming in, but we can't put all this pressure on that he's going to be our saving grace now on a 19, 20-year-old. And we don't have a Wanyama. We don't have a Dembele. We've got a Harry Kane that's aging, who we don't even know if he wants to be there next season. And yeah, it's a lot of money they're going to have to spend to try and build a team to fit someone else's kind of philosophy. But for me personally, I think that you give Kante like 3 or 4 top players in that first 11, I think he's achieving much better results than what we've seen this season, and we'll see better football because you'll have more confident players on the ball and in the first 11. I mean, we saw it again today. Perisic is, unfortunately, he's 34 years old, 35 years old, however old he
Conte
is,
signing, though.
right? Yeah, but he's a Conte signing, but he's still the top assister in the club, right? Yeah, I know people don't want to hear it, but he's the top assister in the club. People always say, "Oh, he's shit." Okay, why don't we take out the assists that he's given us this season and see how worse we'd be in the table without his assists, right? And this is the thing. Yes, he's shit, but he's shit defensively. He's crap defensively. He's not a defender. He is a winger. And the problem is that he doesn't have the legs to withstand the intensity of the Premier League, right? If you play him up top, like just as a predominant winger, right? I think he'll give us a lot of output. I think he would. But you see how many times are we getting caught out on that left-hand side because he's so far up the pitch, right? Today, 2 of the goals came from that side because he's so far up the pitch that he should be tracking back, but he doesn't track back because he can't. He hasn't got the legs for it. And that's a big problem. And yeah,
how can Marlon see it? How can Marlon see it? We see it. Everyone else see it. That he's not good enough. But for someone, they walk through those doors at Hotspur Way, and everyone seems to blow smoke up these players' asses, thinking that they're prime Cafu's, prime Maldini's, prime Maradona's, and everything else. This is what I don't understand. It is like they walk through Hotspur Way every day, and there's a Men in Black thing with the thing that erases their memories. Because that's the only thing that I can say these days. Because surely they see it. Everyone sees what we see. We don't have coaching badges. We don't have qualifications. We don't have all of this. I just don't understand how they're going to walk up. They're going to go off tonight on international duty or tomorrow, sit there with England and whoever else, have a nice couple of weeks, laugh and joke like, James Ward-Prowse is going to be sitting there laughing at Eric Dyer if he's in the England squad, going, you threw that game away, and he goes, oh yeah, I know, I'm shit, I shouldn't play football, but I'm here as well. I don't get it, man, Marlon. I don't get it. I'm lost, Marlon.
But there's one last thing, right? And this is where I kind of go. You have to kind of see where the club's at, right? So let's take Dele Alli, right, and everything that's happened to him, like in the last couple of days. Now, Jose wanted rid of him. Conte wanted rid of him. Nuno wanted rid of him. Poch wanted rid of him. But who kept him? Who kept him at the club to see if they? And that is the biggest issue, right? You've got to leave the football decisions up to the football people, and you leave the business decisions up to the business people. Once they can get that bit sorted, you might have a better mentality at the club. Because it's not, and that's the biggest thing. You just got to take that, and you think, if that's Dele Alli, you got Dyer, you have Ben Davis, you have all these players, Sanchez, that have been there way too long.
So, yeah, Marlon, sorry, breaking news. Conte has called the players out in his post-match thingy.
Fucking
There's two things. The fans deserve much better than this team. When we play a game, anything can happen, and usually my team shows great stability and not up and down.
Come on, Kante.
Instead, if I have to compare this season, the improvement we are doing this season compared to last season, we are losing the work we did last season. I do not want to speak about the tactical. I'm talking about the spirit and the heart we put into the pitch.
I agree.
Instead, we are losing this characteristic. If you don't have this, in my experience, you can lose against these teams. Sheffield United with younger players. Today, we're winning 3-1 and feel the perception anything can happen, and we're scared. What we're seeing in these last matches, I don't like it. I'm not used to seeing this. I see a lot of selfish players. I don't see a team.
Spot on.
Frustration is not for today. It's right to tell the truth and keep the eyes open. The truth is we have to give satisfaction to our fans, and we are not doing this. We all have to take responsibility. It's happened before with other coaches. Maybe if we start to think the players have to take responsibility, it's the right moment. Otherwise, we're out of Europe. From what I'm seeing, to talk about Champions League is useless, because in this moment, we're not a team. We don't have spirit. We're not putting heart into the pitch for the badge or the sense of belonging. If we don't have this, we will finish the season really badly. It was a clear problem today, but it's the end of a cycle of bad results. The fans deserve much better than this team.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on. What do you think,
all I'm going to say to Kante on that one is 2 North London derbies didn't turn up for any of them. So we knew this weeks ago. And so it's... and this is why I'm not as angry as everyone else, because after that second Arsenal game, that was it for me. I cut this season for me. I'm just going to watch it for the results. Hopefully they win. They might turn up, but that's like the game today. If they can't, like, this is the thing. We've had crap teams, and they've always turned up to a North London derby, right? But these players are meant to be half decent, and they literally just sat there and went, "What do we do?" And everyone will say, "Yeah, that's partly on the manager," but we've had crap managers, and we still had more team spirit and more fight than that.
What do you think about Kante saying? He pretty much said what a lot of the fans have, like some of us have said about, we've had different coaches, but the players are still to blame. Go on, Marlon.
The fans are going to blame Kante for it. Your tactics. Why are you going defensive? This, that, and the other. And like I said earlier, you have to look at it and go, he went defensive against Southampton to protect a 3-1 lead. And you're telling me that these players could do it? Like, seriously, they couldn't do it.
That's true.
Right? No matter how bad it...
Yeah. No, go on,
we didn't agree with it. We didn't agree with the tactics behind it. But you're really going to sit there and tell me they couldn't defend it? And a lot of people, I know there's a lot of Spurs fans right now that want him gone. He's out. Let him go. But then you're going to have to bring in a new manager, right? Say Poch comes back, right? Porro, might be his player. He's Romero, and the other centre backs might not be his player. So you're gonna have to spend on 2 centre backs that are going to be at Toby and Jan's level, right? Which Romero is nowhere near, right? Because he went 4-4-2 against AC Milan, got sent off because he doesn't think. Yeah, Doji, like you said, we can't put that much pressure on him, right? So then you got to look at the midfield. What about if the midfielders are not his type of players as well? Is Harry Kane going to be able to do the amount of running he used to do for Poch?
No chance.
Right, so there's no chance. So you're kind of sitting there going, what the hell? So it's a whole, if you bring in a new manager, I think it's a whole new, there's more money that's going to have to be spent as well. And we don't have patience as a fan base, all of us. And that includes me. I'm including myself in that.
See, the thing is, Marlon, I've got the patience because I've seen this too many times, the same repetitive cycle that we go through, right? So me, I'm at the point now, Marlon, where I really don't care, because to me, to be honest with you, as much as I don't like the football, if I see Kante walk out that door in the summer, right, it's only because the only way I see it, and I don't care what anyone says, they're going to use this in the media about, his family issues at home and this and that. He misses his family. That's rubbish, absolute rubbish in my opinion. He's a professional. He said so many times he wants to win trophies for this club, right? He said that he's even said himself that he wants to be here for years, but it's not up to him. He said this, but why is he not signing a contract? To me, the only thing I can see is that the club don't have the same ambition as what he wants. And if they're not going to give him that, why is a manager going to stay at a club, right, if they're only there to compete for top 4? That's not what he wants. He wants trophies.
Yeah, and I think
I've got a question for both of you, actually.
Go on, Marlon. Last question, then we need to move on, because there's loads of people in the back end.
Yeah. If he was backed in the summer, does he sign the contract?
No, because I don't think the way that he's come out this evening, I would be surprised if he's here by the end of the international break.
No, not this summer. Last summer. If he was backed last summer, would we be in a situation now where he's
I think
falling in
I
line with
think
that contract?
maybe. I think
I personally think he would have signed that
I think
contract.
there's more.
If
I
he
think
had
there's
better
more of a
players, yeah.
chance. I think there's more of a chance.
And I think that contract would have been signed. So that kind of says to you how the summer went. And I think that's what his assurances are. And for both of them, right? Because everyone's going, why is he on an 18-month contract? Both of them were trying to protect themselves from each other.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why we're in this situation right now.
Conte was protecting himself, and obviously Poch's 18-month original deal with Paris Saint-Germain finishes at the same time.
Look,
so
I'm glad that he's come out and said this, but the worst thing about it is that the majority of this fan base, this delusional fan base, is that they're gonna think, oh look what he said, he's slating the players, get him out, Conte out, all this kind of shit. And then once he goes, either he gets sacked or not. I don't think he's gonna get sacked. I think it'll be in the summer where they decide what they're gonna do. Yeah. And then we'll just go through another 5-year or 3-year plan with the manager not getting fully backed. They'll fail again, and then we'll be here again. We're speaking to about the next two managers.
Yeah, Marlon, we'll be here this time next season talking about the same thing.
Mark it in your diary, Marlon.
Probably. Mark it in your diary. All right, Marlon, big up, buddy.
Yeah, big
Cheers,
up, Marlon,
guys.
man.
Thanks.
Cheers,
As
guys.
always.
See you, man.
Thanks, always.
Big up, man.